Picture this. Your alarm goes off at 6 a.m. You've only slept 5 hours. But instead of dragging yourself out of bed, you sit up, alert, present, focused. No grogginess, no fog, just a quiet, grounded energy flowing through you. You make your coffee, open the blinds, and realize something remarkable. You don't need more sleep. You need better alignment. Because here is the hidden truth. The number of hours you sleep is far less important than the psychology of how you rest. We've been taught that rest is purely physical, a biological need to recharge the body. But neuroscience and behavioral psychology tell a deeper story. Sleep is not just the body shutting down. It's the mind reorganizing chaos. It's a nightly process where your brain negotiates between exhaustion and renewal, between survival and most people lose that battle, not because they sleep too little, but because they sleep wrong. Let me explain. You've probably met people who sleep 8 or 9 hours but wake up miserable, drained, and lifeless. And then there are those rare individuals, the 4-hour sleepers, the early risers, the ones who live with quiet intensity. They seem wired differently, but what truly separates them is not genetics. It's mental sync, their inner system, their habits, beliefs, diet, emotional regulation, and sense of purpose aligns with how their brain enters sleep cycles. In other words, they've mastered the psychology of recovery. You see, when your mind feels unfinished, when guilt, anxiety, or uncertainty linger, your brain refuses to rest, no matter how many hours you lie down. It stays alert beneath the surface, analyzing threats, replaying arguments, calculating outcomes. And even while your eyes are closed, your nervous system is still in defense mode. So when you wake up, it is not that your body is tired. It is that your mind never truly returned from battle. But when you learn to end the day psychologically, to give your brain the closure it craves, your sleep becomes more efficient. You start to experience something scientists call REM compression. Shorter sleep, deeper recovery, greater clarity. This script isn't about hacking sleep or tricking biology. It's about understanding the mental architecture behind rest. How your thoughts, emotions, and environment either drain you or renew you. By the end of this video, you'll understand why people who sleep less often live more deliberately. You'll see how psychology, not time, dictates energy. Because the secret to waking up fresh isn't found in hours. It's found in peace. 1. The illusion of more sleep. You've been told all your life that 8 hours of sleep is the gold standard, the universal rule. But the truth is, that number is an average, not a law. It's a statistical midpoint. The biological democracy of the human race. But psychology doesn't live in averages. It lives in individuals, some of the most high-performing minds in history. Nikola Tesla, Winston Churchill, Thomas Edison, Leonardo da Vinci, all thrived on fragmented or reduced sleep schedules, not because they were superhuman, but because their brains had adapted to enter recovery faster. Your brain's ability to rejuvenate isn't measured by the clock, it's measured by depth. Think of it like diving. Some people swim on the surface for 8 hours and call it rest. Others dive deep for 4 hours and come back renewed. What matters is not the time spent underwater, but how deep you go. Modern psychology confirms this through the study of sleep efficiency. The ratio between the time you spend asleep and the time your brain actually uses for restorative processes like memory consolidation, emotional detox, and neurochemical balance. If you go to bed anxious, overstimulated, or burdened, your efficiency collapses. Your mind keeps grinding, your cortisol levels stay high, and your REM cycles become fragmented. That's why you can sleep long and still wake up empty. The first rule of sleeping less but feeling fresh is this: sleep efficiency greater than sleep duration. And efficiency begins not when you close your eyes, but when you close your loops. 2. The mental loops that drain you every night before you sleep. Your brain performs an invisible ritual. It reviews unfinished thoughts. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect, the tendency of the mind to hold on to incomplete tasks and unresolved emotions. If you went to bed angry, your brain keeps the emotional file open. If you left an argument unfinished, your brain replays it in fragments while you sleep. If you feel like you haven't done enough today, your subconscious continues trying to finish the day, even as your body tries to rest. That's why anxiety and guilt are the enemies of efficient rest. They create mental noise, endless open tabs that prevent the system from shutting down. When you wake up tired, you're not waking from sleep. You're waking from mental work. Tu truly res. You need a psychological shutdown ritual. Something that tells your brain, it's over. You can let go. This can be as simple as journaling your thoughts, writing tomorrow's to-do list, or even saying out loud, "Today was enough." These small acts of closure free your subconscious from carrying unfinished stories into the night. And once the brain feels safe to stop, it rests deeper, faster, and more completely. The less it has to defend, the less time it needs to recover. 3. Emotional detox. The forgotten key you can to rest. If you re-emotionally polluted. Most people underestimate how much emotional residue they carry. Daily tiny micro-wounds that linger. Someone's passive-aggressive tone, a text you overanalyzed, a guilt about not doing enough, an unresolved memory that flashes briefly before sleep. Each one adds weight to the system. In neuroscience, this weight is reflected in elevated cortisol levels, the stress hormone that keeps your brain alert. Cortisol is useful during the day. It sharpens focus. It makes you survive. But at night, it becomes poison. It blocks melatonin, the hormone that signals your body to rest. When your mind can't distinguish between psychological threat and real threat, it refuses to let you sleep deeply. You wake up in fragments. You toss, you turn, you dream of unresolved things. The solution is what psychologists call emotional discharge. It's the process of emptying emotional tension before sleep consciously. This doesn't mean therapy sessions at midnight. It can be as simple as reflection. Sit in silence and ask yourself, what am I still carrying from today? And whatever comes to mind, breathe it out. Name it. Acknowledge it. Then, let it go. Your nervous system only needs one thing to relax, the signal of safety. Once it senses that, it drops into recovery almost instantly. That's why emotionally grounded people can sleep 5 hours and feel clear, because they end the day clean. 4. The biological sync. Your body follows a pattern called the circadian rhythm, an internal clock synchronized with sunlight, temperature, and food timing. But most people's clocks are broken by modern life. Screens, caffeine, irregular meals, and late-night dopamine hits. When your brain doesn't know what time it is, it doesn't know when to rest. It keeps scanning for stimuli, expecting more. That's why one of the most powerful ways to sleep less is not to sleep harder, but to align your biological rhythm. This alignment depends on 5 psychological triggers. Light exposure. Morning sunlight tells your brain, it's time to wake. Evening darkness signals, it's time to shut down. Artificial light, especially blue light from phones, confuses that message. Timing, consistency. Going to bed and waking up at the same time rewires your brain's internal clock to predict rest. The brain loves predictability. Caffeine boundary. Stimulants like coffee have a half-life of 5 to 6 hours. That means, even if you drink it at 5 p.m., half is still active at 11 p.m. Temperature control. A slightly cooler room tells your body it's nighttime. Mental narrative. Your brain responds to yourself. If you keep saying, I need 8 hours, your subconscious believes it. Change it to my sleep is efficient and complete. Your biology follows your belief. Remember this rule. Your psychology trains your biology. If you align them, you can reclaim hours from your sleep without losing recovery. 5. The myth of motivation and the power of purpose. You've probably noticed something paradoxical. When you're deeply inspired, when you're obsessed with a goal, a vision, or someone you love, you can sleep less and feel more alive. That's not magic. That's dopamine alignment. Dopamine isn't just the pleasure chemical. It's the brain's energy currency, the molecule of drive, focus, and wakefulness. When your purpose is strong, your brain produces dopamine in harmony with your wake cycles. It sustains alertness without the crash. But when your days are meaningless, when you're scrolling, drifting, or living without emotional direction, your dopamine becomes chaotic. It spikes randomly, crashes deeply, and leaves you perpetually fatigued. In other words, it's not a lack of sleep that exhausts you. It's lack of meaning. People who have something to wake up for can rest less because their mind rests in purpose. They don't wake up thinking, I have to. They wake up thinking, I get to. Purpose acts as a psychological stabilizer. It regulates neurotransmitters, lowers stress hormones, and improves cognitive recovery. So if you want to sleep less and still wake up fresh, build a life that feels worth waking up to. 6. The psychological reset formula. Psychologists have found that the human mind moves in predictable cycles of mental fatigue every 90 minutes, known as the ultradian rhythm. During the day, every 90 minutes, your focus peaks, then drops. At night, your brain uses the same rhythm to move between light and deep sleep. You can use this to your advantage. Instead of aiming for 8 continuous hours, structure your rest around these 90-minute intervals. For example, 4.5 hours, 3 full cycles, 6 hours, 4 cycles. When you wake at the end of a cycle, you'll feel alert. When you interrupt one, you'll feel like you were hit by a truck. But the secret lies deeper. Your brain adapts faster to shorter sleep when recovery is respected during the day. That means taking micro-recovery moments. 5 minutes of silence, stretching, or mindful breathing between tasks. These small resets prevent emotional buildup and keep your cortisol curve smooth. Every break you take during the day saves recovery time at night. In short, daytime peace equals nighttime depth. 7. Case study. The Rested Warrior. Let me give you a story. In the early 2000s, military psychologists studied special forces soldiers who performed long operations on minimal sleep. They found that the most resilient weren't necessarily the fittest. They were the ones who could mentally recover on demand. They practiced psychological decompression, controlled breathing, gratitude, reflection, micromeditations, emotional regulation. While others saw rest as a reward, these men saw it as a skill, and the result was shocking. They could sustain alertness on 4 to 5 hours of sleep with almost no drop in performance. Their secret wasn't toughness. It was emotional closure and mental control. They trained their minds to stop completely the moment rest was allowed. And this is what we must learn too. If you want to wake up fresh, you must stop romanticizing exhaustion. Stop using sleep as an escape. Start using it as a tool. 8. The role of identity. Here's a truth most people miss. You will only rest according to who you believe you are. If your identity is built around being the tired one, the busy one, or the overworked one, your subconscious fulfills that prophecy. You'll sabotage rest to maintain self-consistency. But if you begin to tell yourself, I am efficient, my rest is deep, my mind is calm, you begin reprogramming that identity. Your brain doesn't obey facts. It obeys beliefs reinforced by repetition. In psychology, this is called self-schema alignment. Your behaviors adapt to match your internal story. So if you want to sleep less and wake up fresh, start with identity, because your body is just a reflection of the story you tell it. 9. Practical rituals to reprogram sleep psychology. Here are proven psychology-backed rituals that compress your sleep without losing freshness. The closure journal. Write down 3 things you did well today, 1 thing you'll handle tomorrow, and 1 emotion you're ready to release the heat till sunset. No screens, 1 hour before bed. Instead, stretch, read, or reflect in low light. Gratitude, grounding. Before sleep, recall 1 thing that gave you peace today. Gratitude signals safety to your nervous system. Morning light exposure. Within 15 minutes of waking, step into natural light. It resets your circadian rhythm instantly. Sleep by intention. Tell yourself, my mind is safe. My sleep is efficient. Power nap. Psychology. A 20-minute nap midday, before 3 p.m., restores alertness equal to an extra hour of night sleep. Purpose. Rehearsal. Before bed, visualize tomorrow's goal as already achieved. The mind rests deeper when it sleeps with direction. Each of these rituals tells your brain, you're in control. And control brings calm. Calm brings efficiency. Efficiency brings freshness. DS to quiet science of peace in the end. All psychology of rest leads to one truth. Your brain doesn't need more time. It needs more safety. Safety doesn't just mean locked doors or warm blankets. It means emotional security, mental closure, and spiritual calm. When you cultivate peace, your nervous system naturally shifts from fight or flight to rest and repair. That's when the magic happens. Your immune system rebuilds, your memories integrate, and your creativity awakens. That's when sleep becomes sacred. And that's why, my friend, some people can sleep for hours and wake up reborn because they have nothing left unresolved within them. 1. The hidden transaction between mind and body every night. A transaction occurs between your psychology and your biology. Your mind offers stillness. Your body offers renewal. But when the mind cannot pay with stillness, the body withholds recovery. Think about that. Most people treat sleep as a biological privilege. If I'm tired enough, I'll eventually pass out. But true rest is earned, not through exhaustion, but through inner permission. When you carry unresolved emotions, your brain perceives danger. Not the kind of danger you can see, but the kind you feel. Unfinished conversations, guilt, fear of missing out, unprocessed grief. To your primitive brain, these are predators, and predators mean stay awake. That's why psychological safety, not darkness or silence, is the real sleep switch. If your brain believes the world isn't safe, or that you're not enough, it will keep its defenses up, even at 3 a.m. Understanding this is revolutionary. It means better sleep ISNT. About external conditions alone. It's about the internal dialogue between who you are and what you allow yourself to release. 2. The psychology of letting go. Letting go isn't just a poetic phrase. It's a neurological process. Every thought you hold before bed triggers a cascade of electrical signals in your prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for planning and judgment. When that region stays active, your brain cannot fully transition into the default mode network, which governs creativity, emotional integration, and deep rest. That's why monks, philosophers, and high performers share a habit of nightly mental surrender. They don't sleep to escape the day. They close the day. From a psychological perspective, closure gives the subconscious mind a clear directive. There's nothing left to fix right now. And in that sentence lies freedom. Because once your subconscious stops defending, your nervous system moves from sympathetic dominance, fight or flight, to parasympathetic repair, rest and digest. Heart rate slows. Breathing deepens. Cortisol drops. Melatonin flows. The act of emotional letting go, whether through prayer, journaling, forgiveness, or silence, literally opens the gate to shorter yet richer sleep. 3. The paradox of control. Here's the paradox. The more desperately you try to sleep, the less you can. This is a psychology of control. At war with biology, you cannot command rest. You can only invite it. The harder you chase it, the more you activate anxiety circuits, signaling danger. That's why people with insomnia often perform elaborate rituals, then lie awake in frustration, because the ritual has become a test, not a transition. The solution is counterintuitive. Surrender the need to sleep, and focus instead on creating peace. You can't sleep on demand, but you can relax on demand. And relaxation is the front door to sleep. Train the mind not to force rest, but to allow it. Every time you say, "It's okay if I don't sleep right away," you lower internal resistance. That acceptance dissolves anxiety, and anxiety is the thief of depth. 4. The cognitive economy of energy. Your body is not tired because you lack time in bed. It's tired because your thoughts spend energy carelessly. Every worry, every rumination, every internal debate is a withdrawal from your energy account. By nightfall, most people are emotionally bankrupt. In cognitive psychology, this is called decision fatigue, the depletion of mental resources caused by constant micro-choices throughout the day. But deeper than that is emotional fatigue. The exhaustion of constantly pretending you're fine. You can't fake peace. Your body knows. People who seem to sleep less but live more are masters of emotional budgeting. They know what deserves energy and what doesn't. They don't overthink texts, don't replay insults, don't chase validation. They let things die quickly, and because they waste less, they recover faster. 5. The neuroscience of purpose. Why do purpose-driven people wake up alert even after a little sleep? Because their brain chemistry is synchronized. When your life has direction, your dopaminergic system, the network that controls motivation, releases energy in alignment with your circadian rhythm. Purpose creates predictable dopamine, while chaos creates random dopamine. Random dopamine feels good but destabilizes you like checking your phone for hits of novelty. Predictable dopamine feels calm, steady, fulfilling. That's why monks who meditate at 4 a.m. feel clear, while partygoers who sleep 12 hours feel dead inside. It's not time, it's tone. Your brain interprets purpose as safety. Safety allows deeper rest in less time, so the formula becomes simple. The clearer your purpose, the fewer hours you need to recover from life. 6. The emotional architecture of freshness. Freshness isn't physical, it's emotional. You know that feeling when you wake up and the air feels lighter, colors brighter, your thoughts quieter? That's not sleep. That's psychological uncluttering. In emotional neuroscience, this happens when your amygdala, the fear center, quiets down and your prefrontal cortex re-engages smoothly upon waking. If the amygdala is still active from unresolved stress, you wake in fight or flight mode, even after 8 hours. This is why people who meditate or reflect before bed often wake with serenity. They have silenced the emotional noise before entering unconsciousness. When your last thought at night is peace, your first thought in the morning is clarity. The two are connected like inhale and exhale. 7. The philosophy of rest. Let's step back for a moment. What if sleep is not simply a biological process, but a philosophical one? Every night, when you surrender to unconsciousness, you practice trust. You trust the world enough to disappear from it for hours. You trust your heart to keep beating, your lungs to keep breathing, your home to remain safe. That trust is psychological peace disguised as biology. And maybe that's why modern people can sleep not because of blue light or caffeine, but because trust itself has eroded. We live in an age of constant vigilance, mental alarms, social comparison, existential fear. The soul doesn't trust easily anymore. So sleeping deeply becomes a spiritual rebellion. It's saying, the world can wait. I choose peace. That mindset, that philosophical detachment, is what compresses recovery time. Because when the mind is unburdened by fear, the body heals faster. 8. The debate. Can we truly need less sleep? Now, let's address this scientific debate. Can humans truly train themselves to function optimally on fewer hours? Biologists will argue that sleep need is largely genetic, that Yu Han Ti biology without consequences. They're right, to a degree. Chronic deprivation destroys health. But psychology adds nuance. While we can't eliminate the need for rest, we can optimize the quality of recovery per hour. In controlled studies, individuals who practiced mindfulness, emotional regulation, and pre-sleep relaxation entered deep sleep faster, maintained stable REM cycles, and required less total time for the same recovery. So yes, you can skip rest, but you can sharpen it. Just as an athlete improves performance through technique, your mind can improve rest through awareness. Sleep, like focus or creativity, is a skill, and skills can be refined. 9. The psychological weight of I'm tired words shape biology. When you constantly repeat, I'm tired, I'm drained, I can't function, your brain encodes that as truth. Neuroscientists call this self-fulfilling fatigue, where repeated verbal reinforcement teaches the nervous system to maintain low energy as baseline. But when you reframe it, I'm recharging, I have enough energy, my body knows how to recover quickly, you trigger expectancy effects, releasing energizing neurochemicals like noradrenaline. This isn't toxic positivity, it's neurological conditioning. Your body listens to your words. Speak exhaustion, and it obeys. Speak renewal, and it adapts. The brain is always eavesdropping. 10. The masculine code of stillness. Since this is psyched up, let's address the masculine psychology of rest. Most men are raised to equate rest with weakness. We glorify exhaustion, wear tiredness like a medal. We think stillness means laziness, that slowing down means losing. But the truth is brutally simple. A man who cannot rest is a man who cannot lead. Because leadership requires clarity, and clarity requires stillness. If your nervous system never experiences peace, your decisions will always come from panic. You'll mistake urgency for importance, motion for progress, and stress for significance. The modern man doesn't need more hustle. He needs more silence. Silence is where strategy is born. Stillness is where strength regenerates. Learning to rest is not retreat. It's tactical recovery that SY elite performers, from Navy SEALs to CEOs, treat sleep as part of their discipline, not a weakness. They train it like a skill. So if you want to wake up fresh, stop fighting rest. Dominate Italiano. 11. The social conspiracy of exhaustion. There is a hidden social mechanism that keeps you tired. A culture that worships productivity and mocks recovery. We brag about being busy, as if burnout is a badge of honor. But behind every sleepless night hides a psychological addiction. The need to matter. When you don't feel enough, you overwork. You extend hours, sacrifice rest, chase approval. You think fatigue equals value. But exhaustion isn't noble. It's self-abandonment, disguised as ambition. True power is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself through suffering. When you reclaim rest, even reduced, efficient rest, you're rebelling against the culture of depletion. You're saying, my worth isn't measured by my exhaustion. That shift liberates energy, and that energy is what freshness truly is. 12. The mirror test tomorrow morning. When you wake, look in the mirror. Before reaching for your phone, before checking the time, ask yourself one question. Do I look rested or just escaped? If your eyes are alive not because you slept long, but because you slept light inside, you're winning. But if your face looks like a survivor of thought wars, you're not resting. You're hiding. The mirror never lies. It reflects not the number of hours you've slept, but the number of thoughts you carried into the night. So, use it as feedback. Every tired morning is a message from your mind. Close the loops. 13. The art of micro-peace. Freshness isn't built in the night. It's built during the day, in moments of micro-peace, 5 seconds of deep breathing between meetings, 1 minute of gratitude after a meal, a silent walk without headphones. Each micro-peace deposits calmness into your nervous system, compounding over time. By nightfall, you've already started recovery. Your body doesn't need to dig out of a hole. It simply continues a rhythm of peace you've practiced all day. That is how people sleep less and still wake alive. Their nervous system is never in full chaos. Peace is cumulative. 14. The inner science of freshness from a biochemical lens. Feeling fresh in the morning depends on 3 systems. The adrenal system controls stress hormones. The limbic system processes emotion. The prefrontal cortex handles reasoning and focus. If these systems are balanced before bed, you wake sharp even on fewer hours. Balance happens through lifestyle, yes, but also through mindset. When you forgive, breathe, reflect, and detach from digital chaos, you lower cortisol and restore neurochemical harmony. Freshness is not random. It's engineered peace. 15. The closing reflection. Maybe the real question isn't, how can I sleep less? Maybe it's, why do I need so much escape from my own life to feel rested? If your waking hours are filled with authenticity, peace, and purpose, sleep becomes effortless. If your days are chaotic, dishonest, and anxious, sleep becomes resistance training. The goal isn't to reduce hours. The goal is to reduce internal friction. Once that happens, you'll notice something miraculous. The fewer lies you live, the fewer hours you need to recover from them. And that, my friend, is the psychology of waking up fresh.